Dan is here. The Feeling, Dan Gillespie Sells, UK and Ireland tour. Stewart Rock here, live with us this morning. Thefeeling.com for tickets. 20 years and home. The UK and Ireland tour begins Tuesday, March 3rd. Next year. Woo! 2026. Right. Bring it on. Glasgow, Gateshead, Leeds, Sheffield, Nottingham, Cambridge, Norwich, London. This is all in March. Brighton, Southampton, Bristol, Swansea, Manchester, Birmingham, Dublin and Belfast. Wow, what a thing. What a wonderful, beautiful thing. So this all began with 12 stops and home, which is why we're calling it 20 years and home. Is that right?
That is right, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about the 12 stops and home. Where were the 12 stops and when were you going home?
12 stops were the stops on the Piccadilly line from Leicester Square back to Bounds Green, where I grew up.
Love that! So simple!
So simple. Yeah, 12 stops. And I remember, it was always about that weird... Basically, it was about me being 16 and discovering London, as a kid who grew up in a suburb and just discovering the tube and having that freedom, you know what I mean?
How exciting was it going on the tube for the first couple of years?
So exciting, right?
And much warmer.
On your own.
Yeah. I thought it was so much. When I came down to London, I brought my big coat from the... I didn't need it. I've never seen it since, to be honest. I mean, I wore it for a couple of weeks thinking... No, it's not really this warm all the time, but of course it's... And the air sucking in and out and the wind.
Oh, just thrilling. And I think that whole album was quite nostalgic. I mean, it came out when we were like 25, but it was all songs that I'd written from my teenage years as well, so there's lots of nostalgia on that album,
All right, and here we are 20 years later. Well, almost. Right? Anyway.
Yeah.
Wow. So it says here about the launch of that album that your record company, Island Records, took 120 journalists... Oh my goodness me.
Very different times.
How things have changed.
Things have changed. That doesn't happen anymore.
So where was the launch? Tell us how these journalists got there. Just tell us about the whole thing, because it was different then, and suddenly it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, I think if you were like a priority act on a major label in those days, there was still this kind of crazy amount of energy that went into something as launching an artist. And so they took everyone on the Eurostar over to Paris because this is a weird thing. Richard and Sophie are on holiday in Paris, right? And this is our bass player and his wife, Sophie Ellis-Bextor. They happened to be, in Paris, and they saw this restaurant called The Feeling. And they saw it in lights, the sign, and they thought, that's a good name for the band. Then record label kind of got the hang of that, and they thought, let's all go to Paris, because record labels love a jolly. So they were like, took everyone on the train to a restaurant in France, and we went and played in the restaurant.
That is amazing. I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
What are the chances of getting a restaurant called The Feeling in France?
Well, apparently there's like two bars in a restaurant, all called The Feeling, and apparently that's quite a normal name for a restaurant in France.
No, it's not a normal name. Apparently off, young weird, man. Right? So 120 journos on the Eurostar.
Yeah.
Right up for it, I would imagine.
Yeah, always. Always.
Yeah.
They're having a lovely time. I don't think they remember much of it.
And I remember, because things like that used to happen all the time. I remember being taken for a similar album launch for one of Imagination's albums on a beach in France.
Right.
It's just, if there was a foreign trip, we're all on there, we're all on board, and immediately you sort of like the band because they took you away once. I mean, that's all part of the deal, isn't it? It's kind
of part of it, I think. Yeah. It was
all
brilliant.
Right, so let's stay away from the troughs. Let's stay with the peaks, the tent poles of the Feeling's first 20 years.
Oh, Lord.
And may there be many, many more, by the way. Well, if it starts with an album launch in Paris at a restaurant called The Feeling, and Island Records, by the way, how cool is it to be signed to Island Records? Where does it go from there? Give us another 5 years on, 10 years on, something else.
Well, they tried to bring the Super Bowl. This is a good story. They tried to bring the Super Bowl to the UK at one point.
Right.
They did a whole thing where they had the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
And another major team coming and playing at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
And they asked us to play in the halftime show.
Yeah.
So we played the halftime show in the middle of they put a little tiny stage in the middle of the stadium during the halftime thing.
Wembley
We showed up, Wembley Stadium.
Wow.
We showed up and we did the song. We did Film a Little World. No, we didn't. We did Love It When You Call. Right in the middle of that. And I had no idea what was going on. I mean, genuinely, there was no sound check. There was none of that kind of stuff. It was just rock up, plug your guitar in and play the song. So we played the song. Next minute, I'm surrounded by their cheerleader teams.
Of course you are.
Both teams, which I had no idea. I'd never watched the Super Bowl before. for. I didn't know what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So suddenly there's these ladies like literally pushing their bums up against me while I'm playing the guitar solo, and it was like the campest, brilliantest thing ever. So yeah, I have that weird memory.
Vassos was there.
Yeah.
No, you weren't.
It was the Miami Dolphins against the New York Jets
Wow.
on a Sunday evening at Wembley, and I was there, and it was brilliant.
It was bonkers.
So much fun. The game was terrible, but the halftime entertainment was awesome.
How is an NFL game terrible? Just out of interest.
Oh, as a sort of it wasn't a great game. There weren't many touchdowns. I'm a Dolphins fan. The Jets won.
Yeah.
But I had and it was the very first NFL game. There's like 4 or 5 in London every year now.
Right, okay.
But that was the template. That was the thing. And they got you. I remember you playing at half time. And it was just the atmosphere at Wembley. We couldn't believe our luck.
All right.
That not only had the NFL decided to bring 2 of their major teams to Wembley, but also we got the feeling at half
Feeling
time.
playing live at Wembley. How was it for you from a performance point of view?
Totally surreal.
And
Totally surreal. Like, my memories.
Sound-wise and in the round and all that kind of stuff.
I couldn't hear anything. It was chaotic, and it was just like I was just like trying to hit the notes and just trying to make sure it looked okay. If you know what I mean. There's cameras spinning around us all over the place.
Because that's the Beatles at Shea Stadium, isn't it? Because they couldn't hear each other, and so they just looked at each other, trying to see where they were chords-wise, and maybe they were singing the same song with a bit of luck. Maybe they were around the same verse.
And I think I'm used to not hearing what's going on because I've normally got basically when we first started out, it was playing in the corners of pubs, and it's a very similar thing. Like no proper monitoring, a couple of speakers
Drum
on
kit behind
sticks
you.
and a drum kit right behind me. I'm used to not being able to hear what's going on, so I was kind of okay with that bit of it. It was just the dancers.
I didn't realise So I always thought because nowadays, especially when you see bands like The Who, they have perspex around the drummer. I thought that was for the drummer. That's clearly for the rest of the band. Then
For the rest of the band.
I didn't know that. That's how stupid I am. I thought it was the other way round. I thought poor drummer can't concentrate, needs his perspex shields.
Part of me kind of wishes that we had it, but then I'm also thinking that's a bit naff having someone
How's your
behind
hearing,
that.
by the way? Did you get your hearing checked off?
My hearing is terrible, absolutely awful. I'm sure it is. I mean, it must be.
Have you had it checked?
I started using in-ear monitors only about 3 or 4 years ago.
I'm scared to get my hearing checked because of the headphones every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this is good, man. So here we go. Album launch, Paris, $120. Woohoo! The feeling. Boom. Hit album, hit band, da-da-da. And then Wembley Stadium a few years later. Give us another one.
Pyramid Stage, Glastonbury, of course. Always brilliant.
Well,
that was 2007.
Which years?
2007. We've done it 2017, and we played last year. So we've done 3 Glastonburys.
Nice.
And always brilliant because there's nothing like you absolutely forget what it's like to be on stage when it's a Glastonbury crowd because there's something about that particular crowd.
Right.
They are just so much more up for it. They're like 20% more up for it than any other audience you're going to get.
Well, yeah, because they got tickets to Glastonbury and they may have been trying for years. It may never happen again.
And they're kind. They're a nice crowd. You know what I mean? They're with you. They want you to win. And I love that about it. Some festivals you play, it's like, they're kind of judging you or there's a sense of like, you've got 90% of the crowd with you. With Glastonbury, it's like 100% of the audience are always with you.
Did you
and
watch
they want
Rod
you
Stewart
to win.
yesterday?
I saw a bit of it and he's fantastic.
Of course he is. He's unbelievable. He's 80 years old.
Unbelievable.
I know. He's literally unbelievable.
And I found him quite inspiring. I was like, I'm about to get a personal trainer now.
I know. He's going for this 100 metres world record. Do you know about this?
No. But I know he runs.
Well, yeah, because he still plays football.
He plays football, doesn't he?
He's super fit. I went to his house a couple of years ago to record a podcast with him, and he just had ankle surgery so he could still play football. And that was when he was 76 or
Which
something.
house was that? The one in...
Essex.
Oh, Essex.
Not in LA, unfortunately.
No. I've been to his house in LA.
Oh, shut up!
I have, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Because I know his daughter quite well. And we went and watched a movie on his football pitch at the back of his house because they put a screen up and we sat and watched movies.
If you're going to be Rod Stewart, be Rod Stewart.
Be Rod Stewart,
Don't
right?
mess around. Give us one more, Dan, if you don't mind.
Another... Oh, okay, all right. I thought you meant another song.
Another song, another story, don't really
another
mind.
story. Diana Tribute concert back at Wembley. That was a beautiful thing. First Top of the Pops, I suppose, is always a brilliant thing. Back in the day, and we caught Top of the Pops just before it.
Just about.
Just managed to catch 2 Top of the Pops performances.
But you are a very event-friendly band as well, aren't you?
Oh, we just love playing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We love playing. We've been mates since we were kids, and we just still enjoy playing together. So any excuse.
All right, well, any excuse to get back on the road, 20 years and home. So the first album was 12 Stops from Home, 20 years and home, next year in March. Tickets available now? Yes, they are.
They are.
Okay.
Well, from the 4th, isn't it? 4th Friday.
Feeling.com, and it starts on Tuesday the 3rd in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
All right, superb. All right, one more song, please, if you don't mind.
All right. I'll go for the first ever single from A Little World.
Here we go.
rider.
Yeah. Let's hear it, Dan. All right. Beautiful. Rock
Thank
and
you.
roll anthem. So how's your summer shaping up, big boy?
Oh, it's good. We've got a handful of festivals.
Yep.
So, we always do a few. And yeah, I just come back from San Francisco working on a new theatre thing. And so we're going to carry on working on that as well.
Right, and the David Baddiel thing, the parent agency, has been very successful. Run at the Story House. Dan wrote the music for the musical adaptation of that brilliant book.
Yes. Yeah, it was so much fun and so bonkers. And working with kids is mad.
Is it coming to London?
We don't know.
I hear it's rumoured the national tour in London run a plan, but no dates have been confirmed yet.
I love that.
All right, mate. And how's that beautiful camper van of yours?
Oh, she's still going strong. She's being looked after by a mate of mine called Keith, who's looking after her beautifully for me in Kent somewhere.
All right.
And when I get a chance to pick her up, I'll get it.
And she's electrified now.
She's electric. Yeah. She whizzes along like a dream. Yeah, quite terrifying, actually.
Okay, thanks for being here today, Dan.
It's a pleasure.
It's always great to see you. TheFeeling.com. Tickets available now via TheFeeling.com for this amazing tour. Next March, 20 years and home, celebrating 12 stops and home and all their other hits as well. Great. We're coming back with the Gobsmackers.